On 16th January 2022, at around 5:20 hours, information of a traffic incident was received by Kira Road Police Station. PC Mukebezi Robert, a traffic officer on night duty, responded using a motorcycle to the scene of the incident along Ntinda Road at Kobil Fuel Station. On arrival at the scene, the police officer established that the incident involved the UPDF Toyota Prado Land Cruiser, registration number H4DF 5F1391, which was still at the scene. Reportedly, the accident happened when the UPDF vehicle was trying to avoid a collision with an oncoming trailer, thereby knocking a billboard, an electric pole, and internet pole at Kobil Fuel Station. The officer found at the scene a recovery truck, registration number UAE 589L, Diana white in color, driven by Rwega Bone, commonly known as Yanga. The tow truck had been called to the scene by the UPDF officers. The UPDF officers at the scene of the accident came to ensure that the officer who was in the vehicle during the incident is evacuated. He was indeed taken to a nearby medical facility, the Independent Hospital. The police officer noted that it was a minor incident which affected a billboard, security light pole, and internet pole, all of which had been knocked by this military vehicle H4DF 1391. The tires of the accident vehicle were deflated, and therefore it needed to be towed. At this point, Major Albert Okua, the transport officer from the UPDF, arrived at the scene at 7:10 hours using vehicle H4DF 0922. He found when the official driver of the accident vehicle, Koplo Babangida, had also arrived. After the accident vehicle was loaded, Major Okua, who was the transport officer, instructed the recovery tow truck driver to follow his vehicle, registration number H4DF 0922, to Mbuya. At this point, the traffic officer, Police Constable Mukebezi, boarded the same recovery vehicle. Major Okua and the traffic officer did not have a discussion on where the accident vehicle was to be taken. While Major Okua directed the towing truck driver to follow him to Mbuya, the traffic officer was under the impression that they were headed to Kira Road Police Station. When the transport officer realized that the recovery truck was leading to a different direction, he followed it and blocked it, parked in front of the recovery truck, and insisted that the vehicle be taken to Mbuya since it hadn't injured anyone. The traffic officer in turn also insisted that his superior had instructed to take it to Kira Road Police Station, a position which Major Okua did not agree with, and instructed PC Mukebezi to get out of the towing vehicle. An argument ensued, and it is at this point that Koplo Babangida fired a bullet which hit PC Mukebezi through the front part of the co-driver's door of the towing vehicle. Immediately, the transport officer evacuated the traffic officer to Mulago Hospital for immediate medical attention. While at Mulago, the UPDF officers, together with the DPC Kira Road, agreed in the presence of the wife of PC Mukebezi, who had arrived, to transfer the victim to Victoria Hospital at the cost of the UPDF. Police Constable Mukebezi was admitted at Victoria on 16th January 2022 from Mulago Hospital, where he had been initially admitted with a gunshot injury on the right thigh inflicted by a UPDF soldier. On admission at Victoria Hospital, he was diagnosed with an open fracture of the right femur and hemorrhagic shock from excessive bleeding attributed to a probable major vessel rupture. He was accordingly resuscitated, stabilized, and taken to theater, where the wounds were explored, the damaged vessel femoral artery identified, repaired, and the limb immobilized. It was observed, however, that the perfusion of the limb remained poor and it was getting gangrenous. It was further noted that the patient was sliding into sepsis and renal insufficiency as a result of complications of the septic limb. Further evaluation by the medical people confirmed the limb to be dead and dangerous to life, hence the decision to amputate it above the right knee, an operation that was conducted on the 18th January, 2 days after the incident, in order to save his life after failure to reconstruct the severely damaged blood vessel. On the 29th January 2022, the patient became anemic and the police emergency response team picked a unit of blood from one of the hospitals, Uganda Hospital, and he was transfused. The patient continued to receive comprehensive care at the hospital, including undergoing a series of wound revision surgeries, management for sepsis, and provision of psychosocial support and counseling. The patient is now out of danger, I want to report, and steadily responded to treatment. He was discharged from hospital last Friday and is recovering from his home in Mukono. He will return to hospital periodically for review. It is hoped that the amputation after effects will cease in due course, paving way for the rehabilitative phase of his management. Further actions: the UPDF transport officer was arrested to assist investigations. The weapon that was used in the shooting was eventually retrieved in Bukasa, where it was abandoned by Corporal Babangida Mango, who disappeared after the incident. The immediate family of Constable Mukebezi received support from the UPDF after this unfortunate incident. The UPDF is meeting all the medical expenses. The police force gave him some money for welfare support while he was in hospital. The officer and his family have been counseled about his condition and future work in the force. Efforts are underway to apprehend and bring to book the fugitive culprit through tracking his movements. His last known suspected location was Buikwe by tracking his phone. The Ministry of Internal Affairs and indeed the Uganda Police will strive to ensure that the victim gets some form of restitution for his life-changing injury, including getting an artificial limb and some compensatory assistance, working with the Ministry of Defense and the UPDF. I beg to submit, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.